Hello, everyone. This will be a quick introduction to how to install R and RStudio on your computers. Remember, R is an online free resource, but it's a little bit tricky to get it. If you look at our Moodle on this page, R resources, the very first page has R and RStudio links. Let's click on the read more. And you will see that the very first link here takes you to a place that you can download and install R. This is the CRUN, the Comprehensive R Archive Network. This contains practically everything you need with respect to R. In the notes on the first lab, I will give you more information about it. For now, I just want us to make sure that we can install it and run it in our computer. Check here that it says download R for Windows. If you're using another operating system, click the appropriate link. So what I need to do is I need to click here where it says install R for the first time. I suggest if you already have an older version of R, it shouldn't interfere, but if you feel like it, you can install everything and install R from scratch. Now, R is in a live language, so it keeps updating. The latest version is 4.1.2. This is the one that I'm going to install. There are installation and other instructions here, but I will just go ahead and download the executable, save it somewhere, preferably in the downloads or somewhere that you can find it easily. Wait a little bit. There it is, popping up down there. When it finishes, you can just click on it and start the installation process. You do need R before you install RStudio. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And it asks me now what language, English, obviously, and then let's do next and choose here the directory. I leave it at the default. You would like all this. And then yes, I mean, for higher level users, you can do a custom by startup. If you don't know much about it, just click no here and continue on. You do need to create a shortcut. It helps a lot. And then if you like, you can create a desktop shortcut or a quick launch shortcut. I don't care about that much. We're not going to be using R itself. So continue on. It doesn't take too long to download it. You do need internet access, obviously. And if you have multiple versions, what happens is inside, there's going to be a folder inside your programs file called R, and in it, there will be the various versions of it. But typically, it doesn't really interfere if you have older versions. So now, after we do this, when this finishes, then we can move on to the RStudio. And again, the notes contain a lot more information about them, but think of it as R being the engine and RStudio being the dashboard of a car. So you need R to do all the interpretations or run all the algorithms or whatnot, but you have RStudio on top of it so that you can make your life a lot easier. And we will install it in just a second. The problem is you can't have RStudio without R. And on the other hand, you don't really run R on its own. So now that this finishes up, it should be completely plug and play. Let's give it a second. All right, finished. You can check that R is in your computer, and then go back to our web page and click on the second link that says RStudio. And here you have to go under products and choose the open source RStudio here, right? Not the server, not just the RStudio. And so you want to choose RStudio Desktop. And you need to download that. Notice that this one is free. Do not buy anything that has RStudio on top of it. And again, here, choose free. They really try to sell you things. And finally, we get to click on that. And this is a recommendation for your system. If you're using a different operating system, there should be something different here, or you can always just go down here and download the one that you need. I'm just going to go ahead and download the Windows version. Again, save it somewhere in the downloads. And when it finishes loading here, click on the executable. Again, it wants to install something in your computer, so make sure that you have privileges. I think it's taking a little while to download. Let me pause the recording now, and I'll pick it up when it finishes. All right, so when it finishes, you click on it and you land again into an installer. Click next here. And then, whoops, choose again where you want to put it. I use just the default C. Click next. Yes, you do want to start menu folder. And it's going to again take a little while to download everything. And in the process, you may get some questions, or just continue. If you do get some questions, just click next on all of them, or default. So again, let me pause the video and wait until this finishes downloading. Right after a little while, it finishes with all the installations. You just go ahead and click finish. And now we're going to go ahead and find it in our computer. You just need to type RStudio somewhere. There you go. And it pops up. Or you can have a desktop shortcut. And let me show you how RStudio looks like. Let's discuss real quick the real estate, but hopefully you will be here by that time. Right, and as you can see, this is the real estate of RStudio. Top left corner here, if you haven't run anything already, it will look like this. And down here you have the console. This is where the commands are executed. We never write on the console. I'll show you how you write a simple program in our first lab. But typically what you do every time you start up RStudio is you go here on this new file button and you either run a script or a markdown. If you run a script, you get some real estate here that you can write your code. So you basically always write codes on the script. Okay, here's where you can see all your data and your variables. Here's where you have your plots and your packages, and down here is where you get your errors, your warnings, and all that. So basically, I wanted to make sure that everybody gets to see this, gets to be in this spot, and here's where our first lab is going to start from. Hopefully, if you did the installation right, everybody's going to be here, and everything's going to be working. That's it for the very first. Let's call it Lab 0.